Beautiful soul, welcome to my channel. Welcome to our end of days, and that's a DAZ. As usual, just one continuous shooting stream, no editing here. So if there's interruptions, there are. We should be okay. I had to move positions for my last video. I'm doing my best to shoot videos. One of the, I kind of apologize. Sorry, not sorry. Was kind of going through stuff. It's been a while since I posted a video. I don't know, like 6 days or something. I don't know exactly how many, but it's been a few days. All right, and rather than pointing any fingers or anything, I'm going to kind of internalize it. You know, um, I do my best to try to find a language to be able to convey my experiences, especially regarding life. Because from my perspective, right? Woo, we might get pretty close here with the sprinkler here. I don't know if you can see it, right? So far, so good, right? Um, but we're we're physical beings only in appearances. We're having a physical experience, but we are spiritual beings. I guess is the best way to say it. Um, but part of that spiritual process is, I would almost say, dissolving that difference between the two, where physical existence becomes a spiritual experience. And that's almost why we're here, if you ask me. But in the process of doing that, we are having to heal, all right? Because for whatever reason, there has been this disconnect between the physical world and the spiritual world. And it's unconscious, and it's caused a lot of bedlam, I guess the best way to say. I like to think of it as a misunderstanding. Maybe, excuse me, there's many different ways to say it, you guys. But let's just say it was a misunderstanding which was so dire and so bad that it basically like disrupted God, you know, um, which is why it's been this kind of interesting position. Like I just want to show what I've seen, where it's like if God is this being and this consciousness, which is everything and everyone, and God is good, then what happens when these aspects of God, which let's just say is the soul, right? This individual aspect of God gets involved in a delusion. What if it starts to see the world, all right, in itself, and God itself, the greater, like, because the greater and a lesser God, right? A lesser God being the individual, the greater God being like the collective, the greater scope of things. Where if the individual begins to operate under a delusion, we are not seeing God accurately, we are not seeing ourselves accurately. And in that process, we end up reinforcing this delusion, all right, potentially. Now, this is what it is to be here on Earth, you guys, is that we are manifestors, man. We are creators. And I like to think we're co-creators with the collective, with the greater God. And this is why it's so important to be mindful of this. And this is like my spin on things, if you want to call it that, where it's like we are like all these, I don't know, in some of these circles, if you run in them, like manifest reality, learn how to manifest reality, right? Cool, all right. In my opinion, what all of those things are really showing are we are responsible for the reality that we're creating. Like we can't blame other people, other things, or other situations for even being in our lives. We're the ones who resonated at a particular level and attracted that into our lives. Now, the framing of that is what's so important. Where, as I like to mention on my channel, there's this pattern of what I would call narcissism, narcissists, and then enabling and enablers. And this dynamic is here to get us to see ourselves, all right? in order to change the pattern. Now, if really want to help the narcissist, save the narcissist, all right? And from my experiences, from my firsthand experiences, the only way to save the narcissist is to stop enabling them, all right? And they will go through like a dark night of the soul, and they may not live through it, all right, from this earthly realm. That's not up to us, all right? That's between them and God, all right? The only thing up to us is our relationship with God, all right? And likewise, it's the same thing. If you disagree with that and you're like, oh, Keith, we have to unconditionally love the narcissist. We have to give them our blood, which makes them vampires, right? If you want, hey, go for it, you guys. I'm done with that. All right, no vampires are getting my blood anymore. All right, no, no, no. They need my consent, and I say no, no, siree, Bob. All right, I'm done with that. And excuse me, but on that message, this is what I have encountered, and this is also why I didn't make a video for the past few days, past week or so. Is that in order to come to terms with things, like in order to really heal the shadow, I feel like we have to go into the shadows world, all right? And in my opinion, we don't really need to seek it out, all right? It just happens, all right? So when the way I frame it, at least for me in my relationship with God, is that I end up walking into a situation which um, manifests my shadow when I'm equipped to handle it, when I'm ready to make the unconscious conscious, I guess is the best way to put it, because that's what it is. All right. And you can look up Carl Jung, some of the things. There's probably a lot of videos on YouTube if you want to look at it. But another way of saying it is that I went back into the underworld, and I've returned. It is the best way to say it, and I brought forward more of myself. Now, fingers crossed here, knock on wood, whatever. And at least for now, I'm done. Like I keep getting signs and everything. Potentially, every time we go into the underworld, we can bring back more and more and more of ourselves. All right, and at the same time, going into the underworld is risk. We may not come back out. All right, we may go deeper into that underworld and potentially never come back. You guys, like this is the thing about free will. All right, is that, and this is what I think vampires end up becoming. How people become vampires is that in going into the underworld, we begin to disconnect from God. All right, we disconnect from healthy patterns, but in doing so, like, and this is this. Okay, one of the things I like to say on my channel, as especially in recognition of God, of the true God. All right, the true God is that there's only one absolute, and there it is. Now, people could interpret that many different ways. I would say this one absolute is both this operating prevalent principle that is almost like scientific law, very logical. It makes a lot of sense. And then hopefully it's not too windy and it's not making noise here. But the other aspect of God is that it's this living consciousness too. All right, it is not this unfeeling, uncaring rule. And it might seem like a paradox where it's just like, well, Keith, is it this principle which operates, based on scientific law, or is it this living consciousness which, can give people favor and like people or dislike people, or yes, okay, just yes. This is why I also always encourage, as individuals, right, as me as an individual, you as an individual, anyone as an individual, to develop our own personal relationship with God. That in doing so, God will make itself known to you and through you. And it just kind of is what it is, you guys. Like in group settings, and this has just been my path, and I've been starting to realize that too. Um, but I almost want to make a our own collective, you guys. Like, and this is, maybe it's just time, but I've seen so many different spins on God. All right, so many ways to create magical systems. Even like people think magic is this type of ritual, and if you do this, you summon this, or this happens. And a lot of this is based upon belief. All right, and so much of it happens is because we believe that it's true. All right, and the more people that believe it's true, the easier it is to jump into those kind of situations. Like this is why any religion basically functions, is that people have believed it, given their energy to it, and it has created this culture where that is how reality is. And is that how all of reality is? Right. This is my channel, my opinion. No, okay, no, it's not. That's not how all of reality is. All of reality is all of reality, and I can give you my experience and my interpretation of all of reality, but that's all that it is, you guys. And I'm aware enough to be able to convey that, And so even if I ever say it's just like this is the way that it is, really this is the way that it is for me. Okay, this is my experience of things. At the same time, one of the things that I've always valued is truth, and I've always said, God, give me the truth. All right, just give me the truth, even if it hurts. I'm a little bit. I've walked away a little bit from that and be like, God, just give me what I can handle right now, because I think I've overwhelmed myself in the past just asking for truth. Definitely when I was younger, but and especially this most previous time, going deep into the underworld. All right, I have seen enough. All right, I've gotten what I needed. All right, and going any deeper is potentially going to be dangerous for me right now. Like right now, I need to share the fruit, all right, the benefits of having come back, all right, if you will, being resurrected from the underworld, all right, and sharing things, all right, um, and uh, that's part of the danger too, all right, is that when we have collectively gone into those places and we see what great benefit it brings, think of it like a drug is the best way to put it, all right, and not necessarily almost like verbatim, where, hey, you take a drug. I'm just, especially, let's just say like a street drug or something, right? And you have this powerful kind of experience, all right? And then when the drug fades, it's like, man, I was really loving and digging that experience. I want it again. And I feel like going into the underworld is kind of like that, where and then coming back out of the underworld, man, I feel better. I brought back awareness. I brought these fruits, these gifts. And what's really important after coming back from the underworld is to ground yourself in the new fruits and the truth and in the yield that we just came back with. All right. The easy thing to do is to go right back in the underworld. All right. Is to go right back into that, is to take the drug again. All right. And in doing so, what ends up happening is we start doing the drug more and more and more. We start living in the underworld more and more and more. And then my interpretation, if you want to call it that, is if you start living in the underworld too much, what happens to a soul that just spends all of their time in the underworld? All right, they never come back out. All right, think of it like a drug addict who's always high. And from all of my experiences, all the drug addicts, they aren't happy. All right, if anything, they're narcissists. If anything, they need people to enable them. They need individuals or collectives to enable their patterns. And if they don't, they will be forced to basically come to some kind of choice. Like, and this is where free will is a very interesting thing. And I talked about it in my other video. I'm not going to get into it again right now. I'll touch upon it really quickly, but like the narcissist enabler relationship. And from my experience, my opinion is that the power is in the enabler's hands. Is that all of the power is in the enabler's hands. And that the only way that the narcissist can ever even potentially get better is to stop enabling them. Now, that might seem harsh. Maybe there's nuance to that. Like I like to say, there's only one absolute, right? Excuse me. And that's a confirmation burp. But only enable narcissists to the degree that it's not putting you out. All right. That you feel good about enabling them. All right. Because I feel like God does speak to us. All right. God allows us to experience the truth. All right. And if it feels really bad, and there's nuance to this as well, too. When we get into habits, like this is why it just gets so hard to be able to explain things, because and the nuance of certain things too is because when we get into patterns of enabling narcissists, part of us can pat ourselves on the back even as we're draining our blood to these vampires. Okay, we're just like, I'm doing good, I'm doing God's will by giving my blood to these vampires, when, you know, in my opinion, like, no, that's the vampiric programming, don't do it, don't do it. um but we experience also what we need to experience. All right, I've given a lot of blood to vampires, you guys, like, seriously. So much so that in certain conditions and positions, I was probably vampiric to some degree, and I think that is what started what really, you know, proverbial, or not literally, but proverbial, like metaphorically, lit a fire under my ass. Is that I do not want to be a vampire, not to the people I love, not even to the people that I don't love. All right, because that's a lot of partiality too. Vampires is vampiricking each other, you know, and that's a that's a that's a subject for a whole nother video, you guys. So I don't even know if I'm going to post this now. Holy crap! I just talked about nothing for how long now? Almost like 20 minutes. Jeez, you guys, freaking jeez. I do my best to stay on topic and everything, but yeah, it's. I'm glad to be above ground, you guys. That's what I will say. Um, I've learned enough, at least for me, for now. I choose to refrain from associating with these vampires anymore. All right, from enabling these vampires anymore, because even making the videos that I have in the past, all right, I was probably 90% not given to them, but that 10%, here you go. But that ends up being, what if that 10% really gets me into trouble? What if I needed that 10% of blood for me, all right, to sustain myself, and I gave it away, all right, to somebody who is just going to abuse it and continue that vampiric cycle? I'm like, no. Like, this is why I have this strong stance, at least right now, for me in my personal life. No to vampires, all right? You don't get my blood, you don't get my energy. You want to guilt trip me, you want to do these things, you want to play the victim. Guess what? Not my monkeys, not my circus. All right? I do want to help people who are ready to get better. If people are tired of being in a vampiric cycle, that's me clapping. I'm holding, but just like, yes. But guess what? That happens on a soul level, that happens on an individual level. All right? As someone who has definitely been an enabler, I am not going to seek people out to give to them anymore. I'm like done with that. I'm like through attraction rather than promotion. All right, and also on that note, I can deny people. All right, if I'm getting vibes or my guardian angels telling me, hey man, this person doesn't want to get better. They're looking for your blood. I can say, okay, chug off, toodaloos. I ain't giving you nothing. And in that process too, I can, just by holding vampires responsible too, they tend to leave. All right, just being of what I would say a godly resonance. All right, having a vibration of truth as well as love. All right, truth and love live together, you guys. I mean it. I absolutely mean it. Like they are not one or the other. It's both. Okay, even when it's harsh sometimes, because love is many different things. Even me saying everything that I have about these narcissists or about these vampires, I still hope they get better. I don't want to say my heart goes out to them. Definitely not anymore. But I sincerely don't wish them harm. They're living in harm. They're living in perpetual harm. All right, and it's their choice. They can choose to get better. They can. If they choose not to, like I said, not my monkeys, not my circus. All right. All I can do is kind of show the tools. Right. There's that saying, right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And if these vampires want to keep being vampiric, all right. But guess what? They don't have to. They can choose to change. And if they choose not to change, what are you going to change, right? What am I going to change as enablers? All right, I'll leave it there, you guys. Thanks for listening. Um, yeah, it's still a process going through everything, doing my best to keep all my blood, not be sucked out anymore by these mosquitoes, metaphorically or literally. And just, I love you guys. Thanks for being part of this process. And it is a process, and I'll keep you updated. Gonna start making videos more regularly now. All right, since I'm keeping all my blood back in me. So yeah, giving it so I can give back, be of service. So and I like to say on my videos too, see on the flip side. What I mean by that is, in a lot of cases, excuse me, but there's uh, a helicopter flying over. I'll do my best to talk over it. But yeah, they love to fly over me, you guys. Um, Check up on me occasionally. Uh, it's a joke. All right. The See, I lost my train of thought. The flip side, right? Talking about the vampires. In a lot of cases, I would say almost in every case, we're born into a family, a culture, a city, whatever you want to call it, a religion, where we're given these roles and we have this pattern. And I would almost call this pattern like a generational curse. Okay, I would call this pattern as something original sin if you're a Christian. All right, and that it is up to us to change that pattern. All right, that nobody else can change that pattern. Yes, it's bringing it to God, absolutely, but it is more than just being like, "Here you go, God, deal with it." God's going to be like, "All right, hey, I'm here with you. What are you going to do? You brought this to me, and now I'm giving you that free will. What are you going to do? You're aware of this pattern now. Are you going to change it?" And that is what I mean by this. All right, we're born in an upside down world, you guys. We're born in this crazy kind of a world. So I say flip it. All right, as I was talking about the underworld, right? In many ways, we're born in the underworld, you guys. Like, seriously, many people who think that like Earth is hell on a lot of different levels, it kind of is. It kind of is for a lot of people. It doesn't have to be, though. All right, and this is, people can say, different timelines, different vibrational states of reality. There's many different ways to say it. All right, there's many different ways, but it is the individual who experiences where they exist at, what timeline they're on, what frequency they resonate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And this is what I mean. We can flip it. When we do the work, when we connect with God, when we change that pattern, we're no longer in an upside down world. We're in the right side up world. We're on the flip side. All right, so that's what I mean by that. So there we go, right? And thanks for bearing with me. Give a like, subscribe. I love you guys. Thanks for bearing with me this long. This was more of a rant video, but you know how it is sometimes with me. I like to go on and on. So yeah, you guys, peace out. Love within. I'll catch you on the flip side as you catch me.